Hello again. Now on Sky News with the very latest on the Ukraine situation from the United States. This is Meet the Press from our colleagues at NBC News.
This Sunday, the Russian onslaught.
Russia destroyed all.
Russia seizing territory and laying siege to Ukraine's cities. As Vladimir Putin says, Ukraine may lose its statehood.
Today, they have bombed my city, destroyed many houses.
Thousands huddle underground.
Please, we don't have enough food for my baby.
Ukrainians fill the streets with protests and continue their fierce fight on the battlefield.
That's why we are fighting for our freedom, for our self-reliance.
Western nations, though, reject President Zelensky's calls for a no-fly zone.
The world has to talk with Putin because there are no other ways to stop this war.
Plus, the refugee crisis. Some 1.5 million have already fled the country.
My wife, Mom, was crying and told me that maybe she never see me again.
Ukrainians leaving everything behind.
My husband, my home, my dog, my cats, my life.
And amid the crowds, charges of bias against some refugees.
As long as you're black, no one likes you.
My guest this morning, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, and we'll have reports from Kyiv and the Polish border. Plus, the first post-invasion poll shows a big bounce for President Biden. Are we about to see a change in our domestic politics? Joining me for insight and analysis are NBC News senior Washington correspondent Hallie Jackson, Eddie Glaude Jr. of Princeton University, Robin Wright of The New Yorker, and Stephen Hayes, founder of The Dispatch. Welcome to Sunday and a special edition of Meet the Press.
From NBC News in Washington, the longest-running show in television history, this is a special edition of Meet the Press with Chuck Todd.
And a good Sunday morning, we've seen the world rally around Ukraine, moved by its fierce resistance in moments like this one. This is what Ukrainian officials say is the shooting down of a Russian helicopter. But it is also true that the worst of this war is yet to come for Ukraine. Yesterday, Vladimir Putin, in a pretty menacing way, threatened Ukraine with its statehood as Russian forces bombed military targets and civilians alike, laying waste to Ukrainian cities, violating some small humanitarian corridors. There's panic in places like Kyiv, where people are jamming rail stations, desperate to get out before an expected full Russian assault on the capital. Russia does control areas in the south and east of Ukraine. They're aiming to cut Ukraine off from the sea and trap its army internally. Vladimir Putin, meanwhile, in his own country, signed a new law cracking down on free speech, making it a possible crime in Russia to call this what it actually is, which is a war. And with the Russian economy crippled by sanctions, Putin is actually now calling that a declaration of war. There are growing concerns that a cornered Putin could lash out and widen this conflict beyond Ukraine's borders. We're going to start this morning with two reports from the region. Kelly Kobayeya is in Poland, near the Ukrainian border, reporting on the roughly 1.5 million Ukrainians who have now fled their country. But we're going to kick things off with our chief foreign correspondent, Richard Engel, who's in Kyiv. And Richard, just simply, a lot's happened overnight. What is the latest from your perspective?